All right, so if you take a look at the top, what your title is of this notes, it says solving quadratic equations by the quadratic formula. We have already solved quadratic equations. So far, we've done them 3 ways. Okay, well, I'm going to review with you 2 of the ways, and then we'll talk about the 3rd way. So, if you were going to solve this, and I told you that you could not graph, how are we going to go about doing that? Am I able to just subtract the 21 over and solve it like that? No, because I have an x squared and an x, right? So what do I need to do? I'm going to factor it, which means I'm going to make 2 binomials. You guys agree that there is not a GCF here, correct? Okay, so is this going to be the long way or the short way? Short way, which means what am I going to start these binomials with? I need factors of this 21 that will add to 10. Factors of 21 that will add to 10. 7 and 3. If we are adding, does that mean same symbols or different symbols? And they both need to be. Now that I have this factored, how do I find the answers? You equal them to 0 and solve. Is this ringing a bell to you, I hope? Okay, so how do you solve? What's the answer for the first one? 7 and wonderful. Second one over there is going to be done the same way. But if I'm going to factor this, I need to look for a GCF first. What can I divide these both by? 2x, which means the 2x will go out front. What's left when you take out a 2x? Well, we took out an x, so there's no longer x. Yep, we're taking it down by 1. All right, folks, so inside of here, there's still a squared, isn't there? How many terms is this? The only way to factor 2 terms is by the difference of perfect squares. Are those perfect squares? Yes, so what do we need to make? And specifically, what kinds of binomials are those going to be? We had a special word for them, conjugates. So what's going to go in the first spot? And what are you going to use to make 16? 4 and 4. We want 2 of the same if they're going to be conjugates. And 1's plus and 1 minus. And same thing happens here. If I want to now find my answers, you set them equal to 0. So, what's the first answer? I'm not going to cross out. It's going to be 0. How about the middle answer? And the third? You might have them in a different order. Yep, that's okay. So how are we doing on factoring? That's probably the most difficult one that we've done is factoring. Graphing was super easy. If you had a graph in front of you and it was quadratic, meaning a parabola, highest power of 2, the answers are the x-intercepts. So what are my answers here? And what about over there? Just 2. Everybody doing all right? X-intercepts. Yep. So we factored, we graphed. The other way, and you don't need to write this, I just want to have you recall, the other way that we solved quadratics, which everybody agrees this is quadratic, correct? Okay. Do you all see how it's just an x squared instead of an x squared and an x like we had up there? We could just isolate this one. So what did you do to isolate this? We divided by 3. What is 75 divided by 3? And then what did you do? Square root, right? What did you get? And what did you have to put in front of this? Okay, so we factored like we did in the red and the blue problem. We graphed over there in the green problem, and we isolated here on the black problem. Good? Today I'm going to teach you the very last way how we're going to do it. Fair enough? Yes? Okay. Before we do that, let's make sure we get some background information here. Can you remind me what standard form is? That's standard form, which is what we're going to be working with. What are the A, the B, and the C? We're not going to have A's, B's, and C's in the problems, are they? What are going to be in there in place of the A, B, and C? Just plain old numbers. Those A's, B's, and C's are placeholders for numbers. Please remember that the powers need to be in, fill in those two blanks. This one's right, from largest to smallest. Powers need to be in order, from largest to smallest. If they're not in the right order, you need to put them in the right order before you start. All right, so let's work on that here. Putting them in the right order. It says, identify the A, B, and the C in each quadratic equation. Be sure it is in the correct order. Rearrange it first if necessary. So number one, correct order? Great. So what's the A? Just the number we want here, folks. Everybody good? 2, 5, and -9? Any issues on where that came from? Just the number. A, B, and C are only the numbers in front. How about number 2? Is that in the right order? Okay. Number 3 is not in the right order. So what will it be in the correct order? So the A is B. Good. Hold on one second. Everybody okay here? All right, one more. Go ahead, Gabby. Okay. Great. You guys do the bottom row. Curious to see what you do for number 6. All right, number 5, A, B, and C. Check and make sure you got everything correct here. Good? Okay, so what'd you do for number 6? There is no middle term, is there? So we're going to use 0. There's nothing there. Check number 7 here. Everybody okay? Doing all right? And then where'd you put the 0 for number 8? The C would be 0. Yep. There's no constant on the end. Questions for me? All right. What's that? The zeros? Not really. If there's nothing there, we're going to use 0. So, like we talked about in our warm-up, quadratic equations, we have solved them 3 ways so far. Give me the 3 ways we've solved them. No, you're thinking systems. No. How have we solved these? What did we do in our warm-up? What's the first way we did in our warm-up? What is it called when we make those binomials? We literally just did it 7 minutes ago. We made 2 binomials. What is that called? What are we doing here? You guys are all giving me words that we did, but what is this called? Y'all hated it. We did it for like a month. Factoring. This is factoring. Okay. We solved equations by factoring. How about the second 2 in the warm-up? Graphing. We have them on the graph. factoring, graphing, and then this other one that I just kind of wrote in here. We're trying to get this by itself, right? That's isolating. So those are the three ways that you've been taught. If you see a highest power of 2, you have those three ways that you can solve it. Today you're going to find out what the fourth and final way is. The quadratic formula is the last way. Okay, so it's a pretty big formula that I'm going to put up here. We're going to break it down into pieces, and you're going to see it's really not that difficult, but the first time you see it, you're going to be like, seriously, lady, you want me to do that? But it's really not that bad. Depends how big you write. No, that's it. So that is the quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. That is the quadratic formula. Okay. The a, the b, and the c all come from your equations. We just figured out what a, b's, and c's were on the front, didn't we? The only thing that's not an a, b, or c is this 4 right here. That 4 is just always going to be the 4 right there. It's constant. Good? Oh, go ahead. Always going to be there. Okay, so we are going to talk about the most important part. Remember how we talked about the vertex being the most important point? The most important part of this thing right here is that piece. That thing under the radical is called the discriminant. It's called the discriminant. It will tell you exactly how many solutions there are. So I want you to take a look at my pictures over there on the whiteboard. You all see them? You all agree that those are all quadratic. How do you know they're quadratic? Just by looking at the graph. It's a parabola. Remember, solutions to a quadratic are x-intercepts, correct? So if I have an x-intercept here, there's 2 of them, isn't there? So that thing would have 2 answers. It could be upside down as well, right? And that one has 2 answers. Good. See how this one only has 1 x-intercept, it only has 1 solution? You see how that one only has 1 x-intercept, it only has 1 solution? Then you have the final kind over there where it never touches the x-axis, meaning it has no solutions, right? So you can either have 2, 1, or no solutions to these. Got it? And the discriminant is going to tell you that. So if the discriminant, it's all right, it's hot in here. I know. If the discriminant is positive, you will have 2 solutions, meaning it would look like that first picture over there. Okay. If the discriminant is 0, you will have 1 solution, meaning it will look like the middle picture over there. And if the discriminant is negative, you will have no solution, meaning it will look like the far picture over there. Everybody doing okay? Sure? That's the only part that we're going to tackle today is what's underneath the radical. That's it. Fair enough? You ready to try? Correct. The square root. Square root radical, same thing. Got your calculators ready to go? All right, so take a look. It says determine the number of solutions for each quadratic equation, meaning you need to find the discriminant. So, before I start, I want to know, is this thing in the correct order? It is. I'm going to label the A, the B, and the C. And I'm going to remind you the discriminant is the part that's under the radical. And the formula for the part that's under the radical is b squared minus 4ac. So tell me, what is the b? And notice it's negative, so we got to put it in parentheses. Minus, that 4 is always going to be there. What's the a? Right in front of there, we want the number in front of there, so it's going to be a 1. And what's the c? Questions on where I pulled those numbers from? A, B, and C. We're doing okay? Now is where your calculator comes in. Type it in exactly how you see it and tell me what that discriminant is. 16? Can I get a second on that? Okay, so is that positive, 0, or negative? That's positive, which means it has 2 solutions. Now, folks, when you write that 2, I want you to leave a little blank here because I want to talk about what kind of solutions they are. So I know you guys would really like it if, when we had these 2 solutions, these were on nice points, right? Like maybe a 1 and a 5, yeah? Or maybe we have something like negative 1.5 or negative 4 and 1/4. You would agree that those are nice solutions, right? Yeah. Okay, if they are nice solutions, we have a word for them, and that's called rational. You've heard that word before, correct? Rational means a nice number. Now, from this 16 right here, I can tell whether or not it's going to be a nice number. Is 16 something that is a perfect square? Can you take the square root of 16 and have it be a nice number? Yes. Since this will give us a nice square root, we have 2 rational solutions, meaning where it crosses the x-axis will be a nice number. Now, it might be a decimal, but it's going to be a nice decimal, like 1.5 or 7.2. It'll be something that stops. Are we clear on that? Okay, let's try another one. Is it in the right order? Okay, so I'm going to label A, B, and C. The formula for my discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. What's the b? 2. I only want the number. Notice I didn't put any parentheses around that. You can if you want to, but it's positive, so it's okay. Minus 4 times what's the a? And the c? Excuse me. So, what's the discriminant? It is 0. What did we say for the number of solutions if the discriminant was 0? There is 1 solution. That's what we wrote back here, right? 1 solution. Now, the question is it going to be a nice one or a not nice one? Can you take the square root of 0 and get a nice number? What is the square root of 0? Pretty nice if you ask me, right? Okay, so what's the word that we use for nice numbers? Rational. So, what do you think is the opposite of rational? Irrational. Okay, if you're a rational person, you are cool, calm, and collected. If you're irrational, you're flying off the handle, you're all over the place. Okay, number 3, is it in the right order? Not in the right order. Put it in the right order. I'm going to label A, B, and C. My formula for the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. What is the b here? Just the number, guys. So 4 squared minus 4 times what's the a? And what's the c? Okay, so when you work that all out, what'd you get? 17, 4. All right, so tell me, is that positive, 0, or negative? That's positive, which means we're going to have 2 solutions, and those solutions, is 4 something we get a nice square root out of? Square root of 4 is just 2, isn't it? That's pretty nice. So it's going to be rational. What's that? Which gauge are we talking about? Moving on. Is this in the correct order? Agreed. You guys all act different once you get up here anyways. A, B, and C in the right order. Formula for the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. What's my b number? Minus 4 times what's my a number? And what's my c number? So if you type that in, 36. Yes, because we're multiplying them. Did you all get 36? Oh. Well, everybody try it again. Clear it out. Can we settle on 32 or no? So those of you that are just sitting there not doing anything, what are you getting? Okay, we're settling on 32. So is this positive, 0, or negative? Which means we have 2. Now, is 32 a nice square root? Type in the square root of 32. Square root of 32. Ugly, right? So what are we going to call this? Irrational. Doing all right? Okay. Number 5, right order. Formula for discriminant. B number. Make sure it's in parentheses. Minus 4 times. Good. Don't forget to square that negative 6, guys. 144. That's positive, right? Meaning 2 rational solutions. What is the square root of 144? Good. How are we feeling about this? Miranda, you doing all right or no? What part are we not so good on? Let me see. Nope, you put a negative symbol there instead of a minus symbol. Okay, is this one in the right order? What is the right order? A, B, C. Negative 4 is the B. Square it. Negative 12. That's our first negative one. That is no solution. Can I tell you why it's no solution? It is because it's negative. This is under the square root, right? Do the square root of negative 12 in your calculator, please. Square root of negative 12. Domain error. You cannot take the square root of a negative number. That's why that's no solution. No negative numbers. Any negative number you type under square root is always going to tell you no go. Okay, 2 more. Right order. If I subtract the 1 over, it now looks like that. How we doing? Keeping up? Okay, what's my B? Minus 4. You guys just want to blow right through this, huh? 12 squared. Minus 4 times 9 times negative 1. Yeah, or 180. 180 does not make a nice square root. It's not a perfect square. It's two irrational solutions. All right, last one. Okay, when you do that, make sure it goes in the middle, folks, so it's in the correct order. Hold on one second. Okay, now I'm ready. One. Yay. Clear it out. Do it again. You have to put the -6 in parentheses. It should be 24. So, how many solutions? Positive, right? So there's two solutions. Are they nice or not so nice? Not so nice. Two irrational solutions. Questions for me? You did. You guys might be able to get your homework done. If you really get after it, you can get it done. Yep. There you go. There's your homework. Guys, folks, same directions, okay? Find your discriminant. Excuse me, I'm still speaking. Same directions. Find your discriminant, find the number of solutions, and if they're rational or irrational.